from Psalm 33. They are happy whose God is the Lord, the people he has chosen as his own. From the heavens the Lord looks forth. He sees all the children of men. From the place where he dwells, he gazes on all the dwellers of the earth, and he who shapes the hearts of them all considers all their deeds. For a king is not saved by his army, nor a warrior preserved by his strength. A vain hope for safety is a horse. Despite its power, it cannot save. It is the Lord who looks on those who revere him, on those who hope in his love, to rescue their souls from death and to keep them alive in famine. Our soul is waiting for the Lord. The Lord is our help and our shield. In him do we put our hearts and find joy. We trust in his holy name. So may your love be upon us, O Lord, as we place all our hope in you. Amen. Welcome to the early rise on the Bridge Nation. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Ronnie Thwaites. I've been doing this kind of thing for 50-odd years. I'm happy and privileged to talk to people wherever they are, and particularly on the Bridge. The Bridge, the station which links Jamaicans all over the world. Here, abroad, in the diaspora, doesn't matter where you are, you can link us on the Bridge. There's a bond between us, you know. It's national, it's spiritual, it's emotional. We bring you home every day, all day, with the music and with the words, with the spirit and the soul of the Jamaican people. Later on this morning, the great Jamaican trade unionists and political scientists, public servant, the Honorable Pearnel will join us. We purposely bring ourselves together because we're different, but we're similar also. We're Jamaicans. We hold the national spirit high in our hearts. And therefore, we want to make the point that divisions of race, of politics, of religion don't really mean that we can't get together, can't understand each other, can't share views, hopefully reach consensus. And that has to be the holy grail for the whole nation if we really want to get ahead, you know. A group of people consistently warring and grabbing at each other and fighting can't make a nation. That's the principle that we hold on the Bridge. You can call us. The WhatsApp and text line is 876-551-5782, and the studio line is 876-676-4996. Program is going to take a different form after this week because of the change with the daylight savings arrangements in the temperate countries of the world. But we're happy to be able to reach you in one form or another, live like this, in podcasts for the future, and reverting to live radio when things change. And so, stay with us. The Early Rise on the Bridge, 99. Later on this morning, we have a delightful lady from Canada who we're going to be talking to, one of the countless Jamaicans in history and now who leave our shores and carry all of the talent, all of the brilliance, all of the energy of the nation and infuse it into the communities where they come to live. Yes, that's a gift that Jamaica gives to the world. It's a tremendous gift, and we really want to celebrate it and to ensure that it has its reverse effect on us here, you know. Gives us confidence, tells us how things can be, perhaps imitates behavior here as well as there. So stay tuned for the early rise on the Bridge. At 5:15 in the morning, we look at the world today and the national and international issues that dominate our consciousness. The war in Ukraine continues. The desperate situation of over 1 million people, that's a third of the Jamaican population living here, a third of the Jamaicans living abroad, having to move, and many, many more millions wanting to go. The news this morning that I hear is that humanitarian corridors are being opened so that people can leave if they want to. Leave why? Leave because if they stay, they're likely to be bombed to death. For what? For whose benefit? Over what principle? What is the value of life when this can be your fate? Whether it is from the wild-eyed criminal in Jamaica or in New York City or in anywhere else in the world, yes, which we're ashamed of, or it is the nationalist sponsored killing and terror. It's the same blood that flows. It's the same life that is lost. It is the same civilization which is demeaned. And so this morning we take a higher course, as Jamaicans. We urge it upon our brothers and sisters, and we urge it upon the people of the world. Small though our scope is, our voice is not weak. And so we say, what are you doing this for? Where this can put you? Yeah? Where does humanity, why does humanity, at its highest level of scientific learning, of material wealth, of human opportunity, why do we turn upon ourselves like predators? Predators not on the forces of hunger and ignorance and disease, but on the very life spirit of so many of our people, for whatever reason. Because I am Ukrainian and you are Russian, because I am of this ethnic origin and you are of a different one, because you do me something and I feel that I can only identify myself by doing it back, or worse. Do you? That? No. So we lift up the highest principles of human existence, of divine dignity on this program and on this station. There's a strong ethical content, there's a philosophical and theological base about our view of life, our view of the expression of human feelings in the words and in the music that we give. We believe that this is the gift that Jamaica, not uniquely, but specially, has to offer to the rest of the world. Our people are doing it everywhere. We salute you this morning as you wake and work and contribute here or there. And we regret, we condemn, we make every effort to show a different road to those whose path is that of killing and death and distress. This morning, we want to discuss a very specific topic, one among many, but I'm concerned about the issue of energy. If you looked at the front page of the Gleaner this morning, who doesn't know what the Gleaner is? That iconic newspaper of Jamaica. And today is a day when the Minister of Finance of Jamaica, Dr. Nigel Clark, is going to present the budget. He's going to say how the money is going to be found to pay for over 900 billion Jamaican dollars worth of expenditure, which was announced a couple of weeks ago, you see. It went through the formality, I can't call it otherwise, of the Standing Finance Committee, and now we have to find the money. We've been told roughly how it's going to happen. It's going to mean deep taxation continuing for all Jamaicans, especially those who are weakest. Is that just? Is that the right way? Are there going to be new taxes? I don't know. But the main issue, as the Gleaner's headline says, Clark faces wicket slicked with oil. What does he mean? Well, as one Mr. Peart's letter in the editorial page of the Gleaner tells you today, that last year this time, the price of oil was about $60.46 last year this time. Crude oil was US $60.46 per barrel. Today, the cost of a barrel of oil is a whopping US $123 for Brent crude. West Texas may be a little lower, but it's double, And so the question is, how are we going to buy it? And this reflects upon the very structure of our economy and our way of life, our consumer patterns, because we use up a whole heap of things that are premised upon the base of oil and gas, and we don't produce one unit of either. And so this morning, I really want us to go to the fundament, because very often we just deal with significant but ultimately peripheral issues. The press today is littered with people saying reduce the tax on the oil, okay, whether it is for electricity or to burn in car and truck. Well, I agree that there's necessity to review that, but there's a deeper issue, deeper issues. The first is, what are we doing? How avid are we in terms of providing alternative energy? Can I mirror the words of the former president of the United States, Jimmy Carter, that the sun cannot be embargoed. And therefore, shouldn't we be investing a whole heap of money this year, coming up in the budget, in renewable energy? Shouldn't we be really using the example of reasonable benefit and profit from wind turbines to be multiplying them? What about the latest science on the use of other sources of energy, from the waves, from the various other sources, from waste, that could make a big difference in the amount of oil that Jamaica is dependent on, oil and gas, and also be a signal contribution to our defense against climate change, or contribution to environmental safety? I'd like to hear about that. Okay? And then two, there's a whole question of the economy of our existing use. Because if you have over 1 million vehicles in Jamaica, yes, and it's about that now, yes, 3 million plus people, yeah, we haven't really counted them yet. We're expecting NIDS to help with that, but, well, that's another story. But if we have a vehicle roughly for one for every three, okay, and they're all dependent upon oil, no electric vehicles too tough for each area yet. And even then, electricity is generated from oil, for the most part, here in Jamaica. That cannot continue, you know. And we are running along that road and complaining about the potholes and the difficulties that are connected with it. I'm using analogies to refer to the expense of running a car or a truck or a bus, when in fact there are elements of economy which we ought to have. So until we deal with that, we are going to be victims of somebody else's energy prices, and we're going to get the squeeze, especially those who are least able to bear it. That's the truth. So, you know, it's not a unique travail that Jamaica faces. The great nation of Germany, for example, depends for 50% of its oil and gas from Russia. And therefore, they can join in a boycott of Russian petroleum products in order to squeeze them when they are attacking Ukraine, as the Ukrainians are begging us with their life, with their blood. They're begging the Western world to support them by a boycott of oil, because it's the oil money that they are spending to buy the stuff from Russia, which is fueling the war. And that money, where the Russians are taking for kill Ukrainians and for run out our students, and that, you know. Yeah, but and are we prepared to economize, to make our own changes in order to save our money, put our economy on a better footing? Yeah. The argument this morning is that the most economic growth that we are looking at is to go back to the 1% and the 1.5% a year, which thank God for, but that can't do nothing to help the majority of Jamaicans here and abroad. Well, the ones abroad are helping us here to avoid the asperities of poverty. That kind of growth is not what we need. We need heavy, high economic growth, and we need high spiritual growth as well, not one without the other. But then we have to make some profound decisions about how we live in Jamaica now. We don't have a proper public transportation system. We have a whopping system, right? And so therefore, if we are going to avoid more taxes, if we're going to grow in the way that I'm sure the Minister of Finance wants to see us grow, we face some dilemmas, and we better touch reality right now. The world has put themselves in a position where we cannot resist the forces of evil because we depend upon that which they produce. And so it's all well and good of us to get vexed and puff about Ukrainian blood and Russian behavior. But we still have to depend upon what they have. And it's quite clear the Germans, for example, and many other countries in Europe cannot do without Russians, so Russia can long out their tongue and say, if you want my oil, keep your mouth about Ukraine, make we go on and take what we say we will take. What a horrible state of affairs, eh? And what are we going to do in the short run, in the medium term, to deal with that? And for us, while we can't directly affect what is going on in Central Europe, we're going to feel the consequences. And the Minister of Finance is going to be under pressure this evening to explain how you can finance a budget when the price of one of its major import items is going to double. How the police going to get gas to and oil to fund the national security operations? How are the farmers dependent so much on agricultural production, on food security, going to manage when fertilizer price and all the other things that are based on petrochemical origins are increasing? What about the tourist industry? What will happen to its costs and competitiveness in a situation where our tourism plans are so heavily energy dependent? So we have to ask those questions, not in a spirit of despair or depression, but rather telling the truth. Stop putting up the picture and saying, oh, if you just trust me and vote for me again, I will make it good. It's not going to be that way. We've proven that over 60 years of independence. Yes, our triumph comes in our connection with reality and our joint resolve to improve things as best we can and to share the sacrifices that are going to be necessary. Can't continue to import tens of thousands of cars every year to run them as if oil is still at $4 and $15 and $20 US per barrel as it was in the 70s, when our appetites were sharpened to think that this was the way forward to establish ourselves. Okay? So energy dependence is, in my view, a new kind of slavery. Yes, you don't have to have any chains. You just have to have the gas pump or turn on the light. And therefore, we need to emancipate ourselves from that. How do we do it? It's a slow process. It's a fitful process. We don't have all the answers, but we certainly know some of the things that we can't continue to do that will make the malady worse, So here we go. Well, it's coming close to 5:30, but let me just raise another thing. There are few Jamaicans here or abroad who haven't heard about this thing called Trafigura. There's this company that way back in 2007, yeah, how many years now since 2016? 16 years, yeah. They gave this company, apparently was asked, or them invite themselves, must have been asked by somebody, to give a contribution to an electoral campaign in Jamaica for the People's National Party. Everybody knows I'm a member of the People's National Party. Yeah, but it's time, as Mark Golding, the leader, said, to put this duppy behind us, to bury this duppy. Just tell the truth now about the thing. The Dutch people have established themselves as a base, to have a legal right to ask questions. There are a number of thoughts I have. The press today says that the witnesses yesterday said they don't know anything about how this money reached and who asked for it and what it was for, okay? I'm not going to call anybody a liar, but I'm going to say that response is not credible, okay? Tomorrow morning, Philip Paulwell, who is one of the witnesses, is going to be with us on the program, we understand. We have invited him to talk about energy, but we'll talk about Trafigura too, But come on now. Just done the thing now. If a mistake or something wrong was done, just talk it and come we done it. 16 years, that way a hold up? That can't work, and it doesn't help our people to have confidence in public officials when that is the case. Now, I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not accusing anybody. But I'm saying that we have a way of keep up things in our craw, yes, and make life harder and reduce people's confidence and besmirch their characters for longer than we wreak long and punishment on ourselves, yes, rather than coming up front, dealing with what you have to deal with, regretting what you have to regret, tell the truth to vindicate, and then move on. That's what I'd like to see us do. So we'll talk about that in a while. It's time for the break. This is the Early Rise on the Bridge, 99 FM. This is the Early Rise on the Bridge, 99 FM. And the music would have heralded the arrival of the Honourable Pearnel Charles Sr. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for joining us.
You're looking very bright this morning.
Well, I am, but thank you. You too. But my concern is as we were just mentioning, some of the affairs in the nation. The Minister of Finance has a really hard row to hoe this afternoon, doesn't he? Today's budget day.
And I think that one of the hardest part of it
Yeah.
is that he has set the stage over the past 2 or 3 years as a no tax budget.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering how long he can continue that. Because for years, every sector of the country always on edge to hear. In fact, people used to buy up because they say they're going to tax this, so let me buy this and buy that and buy this.
Well,
I don't know if this even he can come with a no tax budget.
You'll remember that we had a hint from Philip Paulwell when we interviewed him a couple of weeks ago that he feared that there would be increased tax on fuel. I don't think that can work because of the increased price. No, to put tax on top of that would be an easy take, but would be social dynamite.
Yes.
But how we are going to pay, as I asked a question and I waited on you, I'm waiting on you to help me answer it. How do you finance an oil bill which is double what you expected it to be, of double over 1 year?
Well, when I listen to what you were saying, I would say you don't have a budget.
Well, quite.
You don't have. If your budget is set at US dollar, and at the price of these major commodities, and they have doubled it.
Right.
US dollar is what, running pretty near 160, 150, 60.
Right. 150.
And the price of oil you said was
160 out, gone to 120.
Then you don't have a budget.
Yeah. So
in other words, all that is in your budget has gone in increased prices.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
No. The past few years where there has been no announced tax increase at budget day. Yes, because some of us look through it.
Yes.
And what happens is that there's underspending, so you don't need to have the additional revenue which you haven't covered.
Yes.
Okay. And secondly, you come with supplementary estimates, which are ways in which you enlarge or you reallocate, but which it's very difficult to get a full picture. And then the other thing, Sir Charles, that is so important to our diaspora, that we have been able on the foreign exchange side to be able to see increased remittances over the COVID period. And one of the worries that I have seen is that for 2022 so far, the remittances are flat and in some cases declining.
Yes.
Now, all of that has to be taken into the equation of how you find the money to pay, to spend in the way you have said you're going to pay.
There's another big item.
Tell me.
4% increase for the police.
Yeah.
And there are thousands and thousands of them.
Of the whole public service.
For the whole public service. Yeah. Now, that's a major item on the agenda.
Yeah.
Right?
And
where do you plan to, Mr. Finance Minister, where do you plan to get the money from if you are not borrowing and you are not increasing taxes?
Yeah.
You don't have a budget?
You don't, because you haven't done, because I'm not saying the government bears full responsibility for this. We do not take local production sufficiently seriously. And I'm particularly referring to food security, to agriculture, and to the things we can do for ourselves. We're going in the opposite direction, sir, aren't we? Instead of our imported food bill is going up, and our imported energy cost is also going up. That can't work.
Well, Ronnie, I am in full agreement with you.
Yeah.
When I drive down on the Marcus Garvey Drive and look to the left, going towards Kingston.
Oh, Lord.
Right? There's no way General Motors have more motor cars than what is down there. When I drive through Mandeville or Montego Bay, there is no... We must have collected all the cars, used cars, in Japan,
Singapore,
Korea, United States, everywhere.
A bring come.
And they are sitting down, waiting to hit the road.
Yeah.
That means you have to have good roads.
Yes, sir.
Waiting to hit the road that you have to have petrol.
To stop at the gas station.
Right? So So the three major items would be the price for US dollars, to pay for food, to pay for petrol, right? And what else?
Well, look at the plight of small business. Just to pick something out, the Gleaner this morning, and we always want to tell our listeners abroad what's in the papers, and we come into the other things on the front page. But there is this small business operator who apparently has a good business. It doesn't state exactly the nature of it, but look at the structure. He says 80% of the input of his product is imported. And he used to pay $5,000 to bring a container of whatever his raw material is here.
Yes.
And it is now costing him $14,500 for the same material.
That's a 200 and...
But look, the percentage. 250% almost.
Yes.
No, almost 300%.
And then to even break even, he had to increase his prices.
Yeah, but he can't triple it.
Can't triple it.
Yes. And therefore, either his customers are going to suffer, his business is going to suffer, the economy is going to derive less taxes, and the Minister of Finance is in problems.
And we are going to...
We are in problems.
We are going to say it's the Prime Minister's fault.
No, well, you know where I won't give him the sole responsibility. But what he has not done is to say honestly, truthfully, simply to Jamaica, listen, brethren, it can't go on like this. And therefore, I tell you what, we have to do two things. We have to reduce our consumption of oil because we can't afford it. And therefore, please, we're going to have to look at public transportation and private transportation in a different way, so that we can serve our needs without having to spend so much in that regard. One. Two, we see how we sort out well with our wind and solar energy. Look what they're doing down at Paradise in Westmoreland. Look how Wigton make money. Come we triple and quadruple that now. That's public investment.
So let me ask you a question. Your presentation a while ago, which is less than 2 minutes, makes you a person to support the Minister of Energy.
If the Minister of Energy is in fact...
Why the Prime Minister? Prime Minister has a Minister of Energy.
No, but yes.
Who has...
No. All right, I'll accept.
When I was there, I wasn't waiting on no Prime Minister.
Very well, sir. No, I concede right away.
In agriculture, you're going to tell me that 90% of the food in the hotel is coming from abroad?
Yeah.
And we have lands put on from...
Yes, sir.
Mandeville straight to Westmoreland.
So the only reason I use the Prime Minister is because...
I am just pulling a little coat on that.
The Prime Minister is the moral leader.
Yes.
He's not only the political leader, he's the moral leader.
Yes.
And he can say things he can gain traction. A Prime Minister can gain traction in a way that a minister may or may not. Although that minister has to take a special initiative, and his or her voice must be heard too.
Well, let me help you on a point, since we have been there.
Yeah.
I think that the Prime Minister's responsibility is to speak for all.
Yes.
And so instead of waiting for 10 people to speak, he alone can speak for himself and the rest of the cabinet. Yeah. So I was pulling a leg when I said that.
Okay, cool.
I expect that he is going to stand up in Parliament and say, look, Jamaicans, you have supported me to be here. I am prepared to lead, but let me tell you what is following me. Let me tell you what the guidelines are. And if whoever wants to complain, the facts are the dollar has gone to 160. The price of oil has almost doubled. Right? The price of importing anything in Jamaica. Our brothers and sisters who used to send home money can't send it the way they used to send it. You understand me? So the only reason why it's up there is because the price of it is doubling. In other words, the pound is strong, and the dollar is strong. So when they send £1 over, they used to send
$3. Better.
You understand?
Well, I want Prime Minister Holness to be a Zelensky. I want him to be our equivalent of Zelensky, the Ukrainian president. I want him.
You sure that man is serious?
Yeah. He's a comedian, but
no, I'm not. I'm not going there.
He must stand up for something.
The strength that he is exhibiting,
right, sir,
publicly.
Yes, sir.
makes him for me,
Yeah.
right, the opposite of anything called comedian,
Right. Me too.
right? And I hope some of the leaders of the world
Yeah.
watching him.
Uh-huh.
He said, I'm not moving.
No, man.
I'm going to die here.
Yes.
I send my family away because I hope they don't die.
Yeah.
But you have elected me to lead,
And I am here.
and I'm staying here
Sure.
to lead with you. And I am prepared to tell those of you who are not happy to go for the time
Yes,
being.
yes.
Because I'm staying here.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to die here
Well, hold on,
or
sir.
live here.
Sure.
What a fantastic presentation.
That's me. That's my view. Now, if we don't have quite the extreme circumstances, or we don't have the extreme circumstances of Ukraine, but the comparison is worthwhile, because what we have to do now is to ask our leaders, expect of our leader, to be devastatingly frank about it. Look here, we get a boof in terms of our deep import dependence, which we can't pay for. We have had a terrible and continuing scourge of COVID and the decline of economic activity.
We didn't even remember that a while ago.
Aye, sir.
And that's a greatest hit we have.
Yeah, well, and therefore, and we have abiding infections, maladies of crime, of corruption, of under-education. Now, with all of that, do members of parliament, boy, you can cuss me because I am not there, but all this holy clap and go on as if all is well and heaven is round the corner. Stop that crap.
In other words, Ronnie, let's go back to...
Talk straight and tell us what we have to do.
Let's go back to the president of
Ukraine.
One of the things that is missing, and I'm speaking on the Russian side now, is that they don't have an alternative to that president that they are supporting publicly.
Yeah.
That can happen in Jamaica.
No.
In other words, there's always an alternative to what one side is doing, and that sometimes is a giveaway to what we are talking about.
Yes, but
so Clark is going to find somebody get up and say, no taxes, but don't worry about finding the money to do all of what you need to do.
Well, that is foolishness. he is so bright that he could never do that. And the key thing is to have a credibility, have our leaders have trust. And if you tell us the truth, as difficult as it is, and show us a path of joint action, we have the best chance of recovering from all of that litany of things that we just outlined. Okay?
I want to request that you conclude on the two words you just said.
What?
Trust and credibility.
Yeah. Okay.
Trust.
Yeah.
For me to give up, because I trust that whatever is coming, you're honest about it. There are no alternatives as far as you are concerned. No, there may be alternatives, but far as we can see. So I trust you. Your credibility is high. I'm with you. Once you can say that and do that, it's like the doctor said, look, I'm going to have an operation on you.
Yes.
But I'm going to have a discussion with you.
Yes.
And the doctor said to you, look, I'm going into your head.
Yeah.
These are some of the things that can happen. I'm going to try to not, they don't happen.
Yes.
But I must let you know that we're going on the edge.
Yes.
And there's possibilities that you fall off, although we are making all effort that you don't fall off.
You see, that is it. But not so we live life, so isn't that how, in microcosm, in the small thing, those of us who have relationships, whether it's business relationships, husband and wife, whatever link it is ultimately based on trust.
Yes, but then the political system that we operate is not one that support that trust. The one that you are advocating would be closer to getting some trust The one that I am operating.
Me too. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Have a man just waiting to see you
Yes.
sleep.
Yes.
So him can push you for far
Yes.
long.
So I don't
So
see
him can stand up.
right. So you can you can kick down the next man as much as you want, but I do not see how Jamaica can come up with a recovery budget in this year of grace, 2022, yes, without some united consensus regarding how much money we spend, how we spend it, and where it can come from.
I just hear somebody in their bed saying, Mr. Charles and Mr. Thwaites, you're leaving out the biggest one, you know.
Which one?
COVID.
Right?
What COVID has cost
Right.
Jamaica.
Yeah.
I'm wondering where Tufton,
Yes.
as tough as he is,
Yes.
right?
Toughy.
Where in hell has he found all of this money
Yeah.
to be doing what he's doing
Uh-huh.
and what he has done?
Yeah.
Right? And right across the hospitals.
Okay.
And let us give the doctors, the nurses.
Oh, heaven, yes.
I mean,
Yes. In fact, there's an article in the press this morning that is critical of him and claims that it's all smoke and mirrors.
yes,
I hope that article is wrong.
yes.
And what it is time now that we are able to speak with clarity. Look here, we've been able to do this, but we haven't been able to do that. The elective surgeries, the condition in many of the hospitals, the waiting time, the unassuaged pain, all of these things. But we're going to deal with that. But listen, I tell you what. Trust us, we're doing the very best. We're like the doctor who you just spoke of with a seriously ill patient who is able to inspire confidence, and the person signed the paper for the operation. Why? Because they trust you.
Let me tell you something. Just think of a father standing in the middle of a pool
Yeah,
and his little baby
yeah, indeed.
on the edge. And he puts up his hand
Yeah,
and tell that baby,
Jump. yeah.
And the baby look and say, Daddy.
Uh-huh.
And he jumps right
in.
No, you go and stand there
Yeah,
and tell the baby jump.
yeah.
The baby is not going to jump.
No.
So it takes
Yeah,
a magnet,
yeah.
a
love that.
human magnet,
I love that. Nice word.
right?
Truth.
That attracts me and you. Do we have that magnet, all of us? How do you create that magnet? And is there something in our political system that's saying his jumper, his to jump to is not as good
Catcher.
as mine.
Yeah.
My magnet is stronger,
Yeah.
right? So we have to get back to your political thing one of these days, you know.
We do.
We have to get back to your,
Well, I hope so,
your
but-
new thing.
Yes, the proportional representation where the two of us stand up and say, listen, trust us.
Yes.
Because we have differences, but as far as your benefit is concerned,
We are
the
together.
common good, yes, the fact that everything we're going to do is going to be measured by the way in which it helps the largest majority of people in the country.
So we stand behind one another.
Yes.
And you put up your left hand,
Yeah.
I put up my right hand.
Right.
And I'm saying that.
Okay. and
So
when
that when the child going to jump,
yes.
right, both hands.
Let's use the image, that same image, and saying that if the person who is in front,
Yes.
let's say the Prime Minister,
Yes.
catching the Jamaican populace,
Yes.
if you miss,
Yes.
I'm there behind you. So
Right.
you're not drawn.
That's right.
Because I am there. I am not over the side or in the next pool or telling you not to jump because we have to do something. I am there to catch you too.
Yeah, but Ronnie, in all of that, you and I have recognized how difficult it is to have that partnership. But we also recognize that without that partnership, we are not on the right road.
Yes, but
Okay.
one of the reasons why I welcome you every day is because what we are talking about is that partnership can work. It can happen. Yes, and let's hope that it's there. Right now in this budget this evening, Minister Clark, I would like, sir, for you to tell us how it is that we're going to reduce our dependence on energy or supplement it. Yes, if we have to bear increased costs because that is coming from outside, and We can't do something about it, like the people of Germany cannot do without the Russian oil right now, and yet it is the money that they are paying for the Russian oil that is being used to kill their Ukrainian brothers and sisters.
You know, I listen to you. If you
Oh,
stop
God.
for 10 seconds on that. We are expecting Germany to commit suicide.
Yeah, yeah,
Because if we say to Germany, I don't hear you,
yeah.
Germany say, what? Can Germany really attack the Soviet Union when all of its
Oil, 50%.
food
Yeah.
is belong to him?
So-
And man, just hold back the food, you're dead.
So what I'm saying it, you may have to have a little less in order to save the Ukrainian man, and you have to try quickly to see if you can find a next source, and that is the folly of international affairs.
But if you bring that home, it's the same thing you're saying to Jamaica.
Of course I am.
Same thing we're
But
saying
it's the
here.
same thing, Mr. Charles, that you and I were talking about yesterday. Shared sacrifice.
Yes.
Sacrifice which only applies to the poor people, which is the way we set it up in Jamaica. Yes? Where North Clarendon and Central Kingston are bear the brunt. Yes?
All right, but if you stop on the shared sacrifice,
Yeah.
and you take
That's not shared.
take the papers
Yeah.
and look at last year
Right.
report
Yeah.
from big businesses in Jamaica.
Yeah, them will do what? Them are not sacrifice. Them are
All of them
prosper.
were billions.
Prosper. Yes.
So-
them are prosper.
So while the rest of us,
So where the shared sacrifice, where the equity, and what is the government doing to provide us with that equity, to urge us towards that equity? Shame. This is an early rise on the bridge, 99. When we come back, Trafigura and the education system, two different topics, plenty issues. Join us on the bridge. Soon come. Honorable Pearnel Charles, we owe greetings, respect, and reverence to the women of our lives, of our nation,
Yes.
of this world.
you know the role they play.
Yeah.
There are our mothers.
Yeah,
Now, when you think about the fact,
yeah,
if there were no women, there would be no us.
yes,
There are our wives.
yeah,
When you think about the happiness they
Yeah.
create,
yeah,
and they are our children.
yeah,
Can you imagine when our girls
yeah.
hug you
Uh-huh.
and say, "Daddy"?
Yeah.
Women play such a role in our lives, and I heard a helper say a while ago, "You forget me."
Yes.
Can you imagine
Yes, what
the
it would be.
confidence you put in a helper
Sure.
to wash your clothes,
Yeah,
to cook for you? You just run to the table and eat.
sure. Raise your children very often.
I have seen
Yeah.
mothers
Uh-huh.
return to the home
Uh-huh.
where the baby
Yeah.
hug the helper
For-
and refuse to go to the mother.
And you told me yesterday about Aunt Di up in the hill
Yeah,
above you in St. Anne,
Yeah.
who played a vital role that when your parents couldn't be there, she would take her stick and come down
yes,
and mind you.
yes, mine, all of us.
Yes.
And Ronnie, I wonder if you understand when
I
I,
don't
said,
forget, you know.
when I said to you,
Yes,
onto thy bed,
yes,
you not a countryman.
uh-uh.
So let me tell you how mattress is made.
Yes, sir.
Banana leaf.
Mm-hmm.
You cut the banana leaf and you dry it, and you take fork and make
Shred it.
right?
Uh-huh.
So banana leaf and corn trash, right? When you huck the corn,
Yeah.
you also get
Trash.
So the mattress,
Uh-huh.
and if you keep it too long,
Uh-huh.
and the trash get old,
Deteriorate.
it become very dusty,
Yeah.
right? So when you're going to hear that you have to go stay with them today,
And that you have to
and
lie
there's
down upon.
one bed she have
Yeah.
and one mattress, and you have to go sleep with
Yeah,
her.
but yes, you see now, it's a cultural thing we're doing, because I know about Korea, but Korea is different
Korea?
from
What name,
Korea,
sir?
Korea,
Kaya Kingston
Korea
businessman.
Kingston business. No, but look,
You call it Kaya? Is it what we call Kaya?
yes. So now, today, we celebrate our women. We give them
Yes.
their appropriate place in life. We don't give them. They are entitled to. And we recognize all of the strength.
And Randy, I just let me say a point, because I know of some mothers who has the responsibility to make sure that there is a little breakfast before the picnic go to school.
Sure.
Whether it is 2 bananas she boil and a cup of tea,
Yeah.
mint tea or Cersei tea or what kind of tea
Yeah.
with little sugar, and some no sugar,
No.
a little drop,
Yes.
right? But the picnic have to get a little. What a
Something.
wonderful
And
part of our life,
yeah,
women.
yeah. And you know, I'm going to raise something else. This is controversial, but my view is that while there's no doubt a history of patriarchy,
Yes.
there's
yes.
no doubt the oppression
Yes.
of economic structures which have kept women in subordinate positions, changing now, but not changed yet.
Not completely.
No. One of the greatest cramps to women's strength and proper position in life is the faithlessness of their men. If men, when a man and a woman come together, and particularly if they have a child and they trust one another, yes, and that is broken, and it is so easily broken, not casting any blame, the woman is usually comes out the worst for the breakup, you know. So
Yes, but I'm gonna say something that has been a guiding in my married life.
yeah,
If your wife is not your best friend,
Yeah.
you don't have a wife.
yes, and therefore,
Listen to me,
yes,
your wife must be your best friend. If you have a friend that is closer to you than your wife, you have a problem. In other words, you have to have a wife that you can tell everything. I can make any joke with my wife.
Yeah.
Some joke I make with her, she tell me, say, I tell you one half the year. Your wife must be your best friend.
Got you.
Does that mean that your husband must be your best friend, lady? In other words, whatever you're doing, you must, she or he,
yeah,
on both sides, if that couple are not the best friends, then you have a problem.
So today, as we celebrate International Women's Day, yes, I am impressed by the women who are Prime Minister and President and Chief Executive Officer and Judge and all those very important things. But I am more interested, if I may be heard, in two virtues that we should prize most of all: trust and faithfulness.
Yes.
Yes?
And I want to add one,
Please.
because all the presidents who are women, prime ministers,
Right.
judges, and
Right.
this, there's a major thing that we're missing.
What?
Some of them are mothers.
Well, indeed. Okay.
Mothers, they
Right.
hold you on their chest and they suck that breast.
Yes.
They're mothers.
Yeah.
They produce
Yeah.
us.
Well, we Roman Catholics have a
Yes.
special devotion to Mary, the mother of Jesus.
Yes.
And many people misunderstand it. We think we worship Mary. Can't worship.
Yes.
But what we do is to prize that human person
Yes.
who was closest to the one who we know
Yes.
is our Savior.
Okay.
And that the connection, the humanity of the Christ becomes all the more present and touchable and embraceable because of the woman who had him at her breast. Yes?
Oh, so in other words, you are transferring the image and the concept of Mary into our women.
Of course. Yes.
Oh.
And this, look.
No, you're trying to turn me into a Catholic.
Why not? No.
No, I understand the point you're making.
No.
I understand the point you're
Yes,
making.
yes.
So
But
there's that man asking me now, so where does a man come into that?
Yes.
So tell him, he's asking in the bed. So where man come into that?
Man coming to that wonderful because man is the beneficiary of woman's trust and faithfulness.
Can you imagine?
Yes.
Can you imagine a woman
Yes.
give herself to you?
Totally. Yes. Yes. That is a gift that all of us ought to try and respect so much that life would be different,
Well, I will tell you, I think I told you the joke, but it's not for the ear.
Yes.
And the woman who said, me, they wasn't so old, should have talked to me. But, Ronnie,
Yes. So
let us get
celebrate
to the
our
root of
women.
it. To say to our women,
Yes.
we praise you.
Give thanks for you.
And we give thanks to you.
Yeah.
And we praise what you are able to. Can you imagine
Yes.
that you were conceived in a woman
Yes.
and she carry you,
Yes.
feed you inside of her,
Yes.
and then at a stage she put you out to
Yeah.
the world.
Yes, yes.
What can be greater?
Well, listen, this is it. Can you imagine? We're always raw and economical in our discussion.
Yes.
Can you imagine what would be the situation in Jamaica with all of our difficulties that we talk about?
Yes.
All of our challenges. If women were not able to budget and scrimp and save and turn 2 shilling into £1 and manage to find the little sugar to put in the recipe that you spoke of.
Let me add to that, because I had a problem when I was member of parliament.
Yeah.
When we call a parent-teachers meeting
Yeah. Tell me.
of 100 people, there were 90 women and 10 men.
Look at that.
And I said, where are the men?
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
And it was the burden of the women. You saw a woman going with one, take her hand holding one picnic,
Yeah.
and the other hand holding one on the chest, and she carrying the child to school.
Yeah.
And you know what the father did?
Yeah.
Some father out working,
Oh my.
some at the bar, some dancing, some laughing, right? But the mother is always taking the child to school. The mother is always at the parent-teachers meeting.
Yeah.
And the mother is always there to hear, Mommy, I'm hungry. Mommy, thank you. Mommy, take me here. Wonderful.
And the motherly spirit can be the fatherly action too. One of the things that happened to me, it was yesterday morning, I had to go to a large primary school, which I have something to do with. And all the cars coming in, Pearnel.
Yes.
And I see a man, a youth, on a bicycle.
Yes.
And little girl, first grader, just a hang on to him neck. Him don't even have a handlebar or a crossbar for it to sit on. And him a weave himself among the cars.
Yes.
And him let her off where the cars let off everybody.
Yes.
And him not turn around. Him stay there and watch her walk right down to the gate, get her temperature check, yes, wash her hands, yes, and go into school. And then him just do so, nod his head.
Did I tell you about this man who looked like who we call a Rasta?
Yeah.
Who rides a bike on Eastwood Park Road with 2 girls.
2 girls.
going to school.
Yes, sir.
Every morning I'm coming from tennis.
Yeah.
So I said to somebody one day, that man is here every morning between the hours of X and X. And somebody said, I know him, You know, says him coming them here.
Yeah, look at that.
Them not have no mother there.
Yeah.
So what? Him is father and mother.
And mothers, in motherly spirit. So what we're speaking about then, as we celebrate International Women's Day, is a spirit of humanity, of levity, of equality, of shared responsibility, and more than anything, trust, faithfulness, which are the attributes, as you said, of motherhood.
I want to add one more thing.
Yeah.
I want to make an appeal to some of our men this morning.
Yeah.
Both you and I and them.
Right.
That we need to stop for a moment and look at women and say, girl, I hear about you this morning.
Yeah.
You're wonderful.
Yes.
And they appreciate it.
I hope so.
Hold on. I have to give you this joke publicly. So my wife did something to me. And I decided to call her to tell her how beautiful she was and that I love her. And one of my daughters, who is a psychologist, said, don't do it. So why? If you call her and tell her you love her out of the world, she going to believe something wrong. She said she won't believe, she's not saying you don't love her. But
you
to
want to
call her at 1 o'clock, off of her work, to say, I just called her to tell her I love her. She said that many people have done that and died.
I see. Oh,
many
Lord.
people have done that as their last thing.
Yes.
And they are aware of that. So be careful.
She wonder if you will go dead.
So you better you wait and not go and hug. Carry a rose.
Hey, Bridge Nation, you hear the romance advice you're getting from this gentleman?
Run. If you, I ask, all those men who are listening to me now, including myself, when last have you ever sent a rose home for your wife?
True. True.
What happened? You're saying Rose, your girlfriend. When last you ever next she see something on the veranda and man knock on the gate and say,
This is for you.
I have flowers.
For you.
Is she going to say, Lord, something must have gone wrong?
what him do?
What him do now?
But it's rich that we can frame it in this way. That's great. Listen now, a matter that's not unrelated. The Gleaner editorial this morning invites the government to rethink the measures by which we catch up on the education deficit caused by COVID.
Yes.
And I am respectfully asking that the Minister of Education and the government, the cabinet, take this to heart. The notion that it's just a few children, or relatively only a small percentage, who A, are lost, can't find them, or B, come back to school and are only minimally affected by the 2 years absence, I seek your support. That is not so. It is a majority of children who either academically or emotionally have suffered badly. And we need to rethink how we manage the repair. Because if we don't, it's going to cascade into their lives. The World Bank, Mr. Charles, has said that if unremedied, the effect of a child, the loss of education, is going to deny them through their life $50,000 worth of value. They've actually quantified it. When you multiply that and think of the effect on GDP, you understand what we're facing, sir?
Let us quantify that in human resource.
Indeed, we don't even do that.
In Jamaica now.
Yeah.
You know how many of us don't understand that children at a very early stage who was going to school for a year or two don't really want to go back because they have been out 2 years.
Yeah. Sure.
And the teachers are going to have a hard time. Down the line, Ronnie, those who were 13 and are now 15, depend on what they were doing for the 2 years. They're lost for a long time. Who is going to bring them back? But those who were 15 and winding up to come out.
Sure. Yeah.
How do we get them back?
One high school principal, I hesitate. One high school principal told me that pre-COVID, his school would lose 8 to 10 girls a year to early pregnancy.
Yes.
And they would drop out. Of those girls that he can find who are back in now, the figure is over 20.
Yes. Yeah, because why? The environment in which they were thrust.
Yeah.
Because of and at the age they were, parents were not able to control them.
And
one of the big things was the parties and the days, and we could not afford it.
So
a generation, Ronnie, a generation of loss.
We can't afford that, you see, because
we cannot afford it.
It is the losses of the previous.
Recognize
exactly, sir.
That we have a generation
and so
loss.
Don't bother tell me that you're going to put 2 literacy coach in the school and that you're going to have some extra lessons. That will help.
It will help.
But it's not enough.
No, it's a signal of your ambition.
Yeah.
However,
so
for you to pass the signaling to the performance, it's not cheap.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can manage it much less monetary.
Right. So I'm saying no. We talk to the diaspora. That's why we wake up and come early. We're soon going to be talking to a Jamaican in Toronto, activist, making us proud. If I'm wondering, you think we could find enough trust and unity that we need $2 billion more easily in education? I have a different approach. I believe, let me just state it once again, that we have to do over the 2 years.
Yes.
Yeah, do it over. Just do it over.
Add to that, Ronnie. Don't forget what you're saying. Add to that. Do it over but you have to be able to contain and find the children.
Sure. But the amount of time and effort it's going to take is going to be expensive. It's going to require that concentrated attention. The government does not agree with me. They feel that they can do a little more here and a bit more there and a big more there, and it will work out. I don't accept that. But that is the situation we're dealing with. Why don't we say to our diaspora this morning, who always supported education, we need $2 billion Jamaican dollars extra. The budget don't have it, but God knows Jamaica and your children need it. Yes? Can we run a campaign, even in the difficulties of people, or people living in England listening to us in Canada and America? Can we raise $2 billion or any part of it and devote it to remedial efforts? What if we said we had enough humility and enough strong purpose to say to our diaspora, come, help us in this regard?
And what being a representative for negotiation,
yes,
we have to start at home, you know.
Yes, sir.
Because our business report, our business report don't look like it at Jamaica we're talking about.
No.
We are talking about business reporting billions of dollars profit.
Yes, sir. Sure. So
let us start here and
say
say to our diaspora,
I accept that.
Look, we are starting here. Because, listen, many of them having the same problem, you know.
Yes.
Remember that this wasn't a Jamaica situation.
Yes.
Diaspora had a problem
too. Okay. And indeed, let us say to all people of goodwill, starting locally, you correct me appropriately, and people abroad, we need this extra $2 billion, but we can't find it. We can't take it out taxation, but we're going to promise to use it effectively to repair what, if we don't repair, is going to coat the game for all the future, no matter what Nigel Clark says this evening.
But you have concluded the discussion. If we stop there and you can remember that it's going to code the game. It don't matter how we try.
Yes.
If we don't do it now,
yes,
we are heading in a dead end.
Yes.
The road stops there.
Yes.
You can look down the line and see it's a dead end.
And you know the sad part, sir, is worse than COVID because it doesn't show any sign of infection. It just happens. You go on and people look the same way yesterday as the day as tomorrow. But what is inside of them simply can't grow, can't develop, can't produce, can't function, can't trust, can't be faithful. All of these things.
May I say the last word for me?
Yes.
Everybody has a thing that comes in you that we describe as ambition. Now, the man who don't have no education, he have ambition to get house, you know.
Sure.
And get money.
Sure.
The man, so all of that.
Yes.
When a man ambition pushes him to find money that him can't earn, him don't earn it, him not qualified to earn it, where him going get it?
Well, sir.
Him go up on the computer, can thief a man money, can scam, can this and that.
Yeah.
And the dunces man, dunce in mathematics and this. Man, if you ever, I told you about it, I told you about the little guy who wanted to fix my phone.
Yes. Troop.
Well, the little boy have gone to no technical school.
Yes.
I don't even think him can read well.
Yes.
But he can fix phone.
Sure. But so we have a challenge to give to the minister, to give to the government, to give to the people of Jamaica, to give to our listeners. As we make a break on the Bridge 99 FM, when we come back, Danae Peart is a daughter of Jamaican soil. She's in Canada. She's working with so many different media and community organizations. Let's hear her story. Let's be proud of Jamaicans, wherever they are, what they do. Soon come. International Women's Day, Honorable Pearnel Charles and myself on the early rise. This is the Bridge Nation welcoming home Danae Peart from Toronto. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Look at
Ronnie. You. Listen, I'm up early for you guys. Good morning, Chief Charles. Good morning, Reverend Thwaites. I'm very happy to join you on the bridge.
Yeah, man.
And you're definitely bridging the gap
Yeah.
between, Jamaica and us here in the diaspora.
Thanks
And
very
thanks for the
much.
welcome home.
Yes, and we wish you happy International Women's Day. We're bigging up all the ladies, and you representing all of the Jamaican women abroad who are the spinal column of the Jamaican nation. Wherever you are, we're grateful for you. We revere you.
Oh man, I mean, what a big hat you're giving me to wear.
I,
Thank
I,
you.
I organized him to say it for me because I could never say it as good as that. So I just kick him under the bench and say, Ronnie, bring your Oxford presentation.
Listen to me. You don't know what we face with this man, Danae Peart, tell us your story. Where you come from? How you reach where you reach?
Well, I mean, how much time we have? I am a proud daughter of Jamaica. I was born actually in Andrews Memorial Hospital. I was raised in Kingston 11. And I had, the typical upbringing of a child in those areas. But my family had a commitment to us at least getting an education. And so I took advantage of that commitment and made the best of it, I think.
Where you went to school?
I went to school. I went to Halfway Tree Primary.
Excellent.
And I went to St. Andrew High for girls.
I tell you.
St. Andrew.
St. Andrew.
Pedigree.
St. Andrew.
Yeah.
And I also did community college at Exed Community College before leaving Jamaica. I worked at Scotiabank in Jamaica as well as a teller.
Look at that.
And then had the opportunity, sometimes there are expos that came to Jamaica with all these schools abroad, showcasing themselves. Yes. Mm-hmm. And I asked my dad if I could go because I was working in the bank and I didn't really see upward mobility from the role I had. And we went on a long shot because, really, where was the money going to come from for us to study abroad? But went anyway and got accepted to a few schools and chose Canada because I had family members here who've been here for a while. And so that's how the Canada move kind of happened. I got into school and we decided, let's figure it out. So I came on the 5-year plan. Everybody comes to Canada and America on a 5-year plan. And that plan is...
What's the 5-year plan?
The 5-year plan is you get a degree.
5 years.
Yeah, man, we get a degree and we'll go back. And then life happens and bills happen and you stay. And you stay and you stay. And then the next thing you know, it's 20-something years. So I am now 23 years this year in Canada.
What?
Yeah.
What's your? That's fantastic. What's your profession? I gather you have a wide-ranging communications experience and arc of life.
Yes. So I would call myself these days a multi-hyphenate.
Multi-hyphenate. Lord, I love that one.
Yes. So I started off wanting to be in media just like you are now. I was a child growing up listening and loving radio and thought I would be in broadcasting. So my first degree is actually in communications and linguistics. And then my second degree, I started to change course a little bit. I did urban studies, thought I'd become an urban planner. And then my master's is in local economic development under the Faculty of Environmental Studies. And so all of those things combined, I still ended up working in media. I ended up running a radio station, changing the org to be a radio station and a social enterprise with my team. I don't do anything solo. And so, we have now Vibe 105 FM is the product of that work. And then I left radio and I'm now a healthcare administrator. And in my spare time, I do media consulting and cultural curating. So that's why I'm a multi-hyphenate, because I don't have one job.
Whoa, Pearnel, that's extraordinary. That's a range of, but there's a commonality. There's an expressive element to it, to all of those all of those
Yes.
things after the hyphen. There's an impression of personality that you bring both to radio, to healthcare administration, to your consultancy.
Yes.
Where's that richness of persona coming from, Danae Peart?
I mean, I would credit my parents. Some people may know my mom passed away, so they may not know my mom. But my mom, Auntie Patricia Peart, passed away when I was young. But she was a part of the Jamaica cultural development.
Okay.
She was, she was a guide to ambassadors when they were in the island. She was a coordinator for festival activities. It is because of her I love Portland, because she ended up working that side of the island a lot.
Yes.
And then my dad, he's an educator. He was a professor at University of the West Indies. His name is Dr. Moses Peart. And so
we know him well.
I'm sure you do.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
I'm sure you do. And I was told I look like him, so I thought you guys would have picked up.
My goodness. No,
yes,
but that's
you're told that you're a dead stamp.
Something like
stamp.
that.
Yes.
I'm definitely not a jacket. Definitely.
Dead stamp.
Dead stamp.
Yes.
Yeah. So as you can see, the family history, I have a lot of educators in my family. So I end up my leadership style ends up being a coach leader. And I lead from beside. And so that's my family, I would say, that strong history in my family.
But then tell me about Canada, because has Canada been welcoming to an assertive Black woman from Jamaica?
I mean, that's a whole other topic, Ronnie. Canada is very interesting, very slick, I'd say. There is more systemic than overt racism here. And so the challenges we face here have been having hidden enemies. So, you go for a job, you end up getting a panel interview where they bombard you with everything but what the job is about, because they have to find a way to filter you out. There's so many instances here of, people slipping up and it falling on the media's ears, how they speak of Black persons in professions. And then, just inherent blockages to you progressing. I think it explains why I'm a multi-hyphenate, because I keep trying to find a way in and I keep trying to push against the grain, because you'll go into one sector and you don't excel at the level you expect to, and you just have to shift on them again. So, I'm very grateful for my Jamaican upbringing, because it gives you a steely determination that I don't know that I would have had if I was born in Canada.
Yes, but then Canada, despite all of that, Pearnel, Danae, has allowed you, as it did for me in a different context entirely, the option of running a radio station, expressing your views freely. I'm sure. Tell us about Vibe 105. That's an interesting thing, where a person can come from another country and have the capacity to express themselves in a very free way.
Well, the key is always having the education here, because you're not always matriculated to what studies you bring with you as an immigrant. So it's important to study here and understand the systems here, which is what I did. And, I volunteered. In Canada, volunteering is a big deal. A lot of immigrants should know that. It's one way in. It's one way for an organization to see your capacity, and it's a way for others to see your talents and latch on to you, and you find your tribe. And so I wasn't afraid to volunteer, and those volunteer experiences have led me very far. I mean, I'm a board member on multiple boards, and that's a volunteer role. But those roles also bring me into other rooms, and so that I would say is a key, and I found that one key for sure.
Well,
Tell me, your station cater to diaspora, cater to Caribbean.
So our station, I'll say my former station.
Yes.
I am there on their board now. The station caters to the diaspora in content. So it's one of the few stations where you'll hear reggae and soca and hip hop. It's one of the very few stations that has that going on in this diverse city. And we have most of our hosts are Caribbean descent.
Yes.
And then, of course, I was running the station and running the organization that is the umbrella org, which is VX3 Exchange. And the person who took over from me is also Jamaican heritage, Jamaican and Trini heritage. So we're in there. We're in there. And the station definitely has a respect among the Caribbean folk in Toronto.
Good.
Where a go-to, you can get your interviews and your perspectives and so on. But we skewed younger because we realized that the radio audience, unlike in Jamaica, I would say you guys are still fairly lucky, where radio is still a part of the day-to-day life. Here we contend with the new technology. Podcasts were replacing us. Spotify was replacing us. All of these options were replacing radio in the mind of young persons. And so we tried to skew our content to capture two sets of demographics. So we knew we had people in my age group and older, but we were losing a whole generation to these other platforms. So we've had to modify our approach to make sure that we reach them.
Whoa. Well, I think we all have to do that kind of adaptation at one sooner or later,
Yes.
I like the distinction. Tell me about the healthcare engagement that you have. I have the impression, Pearnel, you can back me up, that Jamaican healthcare professionals are highly prized and play crucial roles in the health systems in the United States and in Canada. Is that true?
Yes. Greatly respected.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. When you talk about frontline work, Jamaicans are at the forefront of the work being done.
Uh-huh.
I am in the managerial role in the sector. So I have the ability to hire and I have the ability to influence as best as I can. And so I'm currently co-leading a pair of nurse practitioner-led clinics. Nurse practitioners are advanced nurses who are able to work in the primary care setting, diagnosing and assessing at the level of your family doctor. And it was the concept was a couple of decades ago. They realized that they did not have as many family doctors to facilitate care across Canada. And so they had these nurses go back to school, do advanced degrees so that they're able to, do all the diagnostics and so on. And so I'm managing that team right now. We have 2 clinics, and that's the work that I'm responsible for in North York.
Afraid to ask you this question, but is there scope for more Jamaican nurses in the Canadian healthcare system? We're anxious for our nurses to do well, Danae Peart, but we don't want to lose too many of them. What should we be doing?
Oh my goodness, I don't know what to tell you guys, because I've been amazed at how even nurses in the Jamaican system were reticent to take the vaccine there, but upon hearing that there are opportunities abroad, took the vaccine. So that stuff is very scary to me, because it means that they're willing to go against their supposed fears of the vaccine to leave Jamaica. My family still lives in Jamaica, and unfortunately, we've had our run-ins with the healthcare sector. And so I can only say that I understand why nurses will want to leave. There was a shortage created here. Some nurses in our systems got stressed out, left the sector. Some nurses were opposed to the vaccination as well and left the sector. So the sector is hiring. But I don't want to say it too loudly, because as you said, you're going to lose talent again.
Yeah, but we ought to be training enough that we can meet the international demand and Pearnel Charles was talking about ambition earlier.
Yes.
And meet people's ambition, which is to have a better life by coming abroad, by doing something, maintaining their contacts with Jamaica, just as you have, and at the same time, enough that would serve our needs here. And I think we're slow in that regard. I consider this interview to be of great importance because it is pointing to a way to provide professional education and advancement that is wide open to us from all that you are saying.
Yes, there are definitely opportunities for sure for all walks of Jamaican, Canadian industries. If people take the time, look online, there are a number of industries that are looking for workers.
Really?
And because you know what the pandemic did, apart from being horrible, the pandemic opened up persons' minds to doing other things, and so they were vacating a lot of industries that they were working in, for long periods. And that has created openings and opportunities for Jamaicans abroad and for Jamaicans in the island as well to seek to get into. I'm affiliated with the Jamaica Canadian Association here.
Yes.
And one of their friends or partners is the Carpenters Association. And the Carpenters Association is doing big work to get apprentices from Jamaica to come up to Canada.
What?
So people should look into that. You should, check out the places I mentioned.
I remember
today.
the Carpenters Union used to have a Jamaican head a few years ago.
He's still there.
One of the
Still there.
One of the big hiring is agriculture.
Well, there you are.
We have thousands of Jamaicans.
Those are the seasonal ones, but Danae is telling us about those who can have permanent jobs there.
Yes, well, it's the heavy duty drivers.
Sure.
Advertise every day,
which is really important,
Yeah.
Danae Peart, you have a big role, You're part of the bridge. No, seriously, because you're the number of your hyphenations.
Right. Their bridges on their own.
On their own. This is the point I'm making. This is the richness of the connection, and we're so happy to have that interview this morning. Continue to fly the Jamaican flag. Continue to make us proud of people like your good selves, and just ensure that as many opportunities as you can identify, you tell us of. You've done so already this morning. Glad to know you. Proud of you. Happy International Women's Day again, and blessings to you and all of the Jamaicans in Toronto and in Canada.
And please spread our joy to them.
Yes.
Let them know we love them and we appreciate what you have been doing for us.
Even though cola bite you.
Listen, thank you, gentlemen, for having me. It has indeed been a pleasure just sitting in with you, because you are legends for me, and so being able to share space with you this morning has been my privilege. And happy International Women's Day to all the women out there who can be inspiration, who are hard workers. Some are unsung heroes, and we want to say, continue doing the work. You'd be surprised who's noticing.
Yes, and I'm going to tell Dr. Moses Peart, I'm really glad to know his daughter, his big daughter. I'm proud of him too. Danae Peart, thanks so much for being with us. All the best. Good.
All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. They're on the rise on the bridge. Danae Peart in Toronto. Dr. Moses Peart, her father, is a well-known university educator. He served as chairman of the Heart Trust during my time, and I'm connected with him through church activities too. Happy to know his daughter, and happy to hear the opportunities that exist for us.
Well, Ronnie, it is there. They've been advertising for it.
Yes,
they've pulled a lot of our good people away.
So what we do is train more, so. The thing is, instead of grudgeful of them, you go and look what you leave and can't fill the nursing cadre at wherever. Come we train some more now? Why am I not training triple the number of nurses?
Well, let me tell you one.
Tell Nigel now.
Let me tell you one.
Yeah.
I was with Butch Short before he died. And we were having a chat. And he said to me, every hotel that he has gone to in Canada and America, somebody come and hug him up and say, Mr. Stewart, are you help me to come here?
Well, look at that. Because he trains people.
There is not one hotel that one of his chefs or one of his stewardess.
So we're the big argument. We have to recognize, as we haven't before, that our people have throughout history have had a migratory element to them, and we do not shake off the dust of our feet. This woman is as authentic Jamaican, yes, although it's 20 odd years she says she did in Canada. Yes, she's relating home as well as she's contributing there. Now, why don't we do this? We surely we have enough intelligence to say if we are investing in your education, you pay it back in the following way, and then you're free to go.
We do a lot of it, you know. Let me tell you something. When I was Minister of Labour, I went to Canada.
Uh-huh.
And when I went to Canada, I discovered that Singapore and Mexico had a position in their embassy.
Of course.
For recruiting people from their country for these positions in Canada.
Them have sense.
Our embassy did not have that major thing.
You don't have it yet.
Right? So, but we have people looking at the farm workers.
The liaison is one thing.
Liaison.
The farm worker is a good example of what should be much wider.
So, they in Singapore and Mexico, they travel to these hospitals, factories, everywhere.
Look job for them
How
people.
many do you want?
Yes.
And they send
for the people. So
hold on. They train in Mexico and in Singapore specifically
for
exporting them.
So why we don't do that? I tell you, the former Minister of Health, Fenton Ferguson, and myself tried to respond to an invitation from President Barack Obama when he came in 2015 to do this, and we had every obstacle. Obama said to us that the Jamaican nurses that he had interacted with were much better than the Mexicans or the Filipinos who were in abundance. Why don't you train and send them to us? We need 500,000 nurses in 20 years. Come on, man.
Did we discuss this on his very program? I said, but I remember saying, what the hell are we saying to a child who finished sixth form and don't have anywhere to go?
Yes, sir.
Why don't we take the same high school and do the science that they move from the high school to the university just for training?
Yes.
In other words, the nurses package could go to every high school.
Well, look at that.
For another 2 years. And we have the capacity.
We have the capacity.
We have the people.
Yes.
But they graduate and they have this thing that they have 10 subjects.
And they will tell
on
you.
What? 9 subjects on
sir.
what?
And they will tell you that we don't have enough nurse educators because the whole of them gone. If you need to import 2 from Cuba and 3 from Nigeria or from wherever, come bring them, because what we need to do is to multiply that natural talent that Danae Peart can. Do you hear what the lady says? They are hiring now. Yes?
If you're looking at Gleaner right now, you see a big advertisement.
Yes, sir.
Are you a heavy duty driver? I can use you in Canada.
Yes, sir.
Are you a nurse? I can use you in Canada.
So what are we doing?
We are not training for that.
So
we are covered by this slave mentality.
Listen to Mr. Charles.
No.
Yes.
We're selling our people.
Yes.
And yet, as they slip out of here, they slip out and get a job.
Yes, sir.
Illegally sometimes.
Sometimes.
They go up on as a visitor.
Yes.
And they get into school.
Sure.
And after they become like this Peart now,
and
we want them to send home big money.
And
we can train them, and we can send them legally.
So we
to
are
the United States.
on the early rise on the bridge. You see, we're not ordinary, you know, because what we are saying is that the whole focus of Jamaican employment policy of education policy needs to take into strong account the international demand for our skills. Yes,
you have said it. Intellectually correct.
So hold on.
You have to join the practical part of it
therefore,
and go and do it.
So therefore, I would love, and we're going to find a way to have a discussion. How can we make this an intentional policy, far more intense, far more focused, far more resourced in 2022, 23? That is the future. That is the prosperity that your party said they want to bring in.
Yes, but let me tell you something.
That is the progress my party want.
Well.
But
you remember I told you about the welders?
Yes, sir.
I told you the story that I was calling welders. I got an invitation that Canada need welders. And I call and say, we need some welders to send off to Canada, a Minister of Labour. We need about 200. You know how many showed up at the ministry? 1,650.
Look at that.
57.
Yeah.
I sent down 1,700 forms for them to sign.
Yeah, and
you know how many could sign them here?
A few.
370.
Oh, Lord. Shame.
And
Shame.
hold on. What we discovered was that a man who can't read was a fantastic steel operator.
Yes.
Fantastic welder.
So
we are not carrying out the educational, the theory.
Yes.
But to grab the practical,
Yeah.
we just have to back it up because you can't go unless you can sign your passport form.
Yeah. So
you can't make extra money anymore.
So when the World Bank and Mr. Orlando Patterson tell us that nearly 50% of our children are leaving primary school and can't read and can't write, can't handle a sentence.
Who you have to blame?
No, but you see, I want to say to those children, hello, yes, you know why you must take in the schooling. You know why you must bust every rule if you can to make sure you go school today, this morning, even though bus now run in Christiana or wherever the problem was in St. Thomas yesterday, okay? Because this is what is in front of you. This is what you can make you turn something. This is the opportunity, locally and foreign, to do some. If we really focus our education system and stop some of the ism and schism that we have.
You know the difference between me and you in the early days?
What?
You had buses and trains and what the thing that used to run in Jamaica?
Tram car.
Tram car.
Yeah. What?
We only read about
walk
it.
Foot.
You know.
Then bring you to town for look on tram car.
You walk on your heel when you have two buck out toe. When you buck out 2 nails because there's no paved road.
Yes.
Right? That's Brookstone.
Yes.
And you walk on your heel.
Yes.
You know, say your mother say, boy, you go somewhere, you know.
At 4 minutes before 7 on International Women's
Day.
Day.
On your heel.
Because you're going on your heel is the last word from the Honorable Pearnel Charles on Early Rise this morning. Thanks so much to you, Audley, to Richie, to Romy. Lafayette, get well soon. Thanks to the entire Bridge Nation for your company this morning. A rich program. Make sure you join us tomorrow morning. We'll try it again. And the public eye will be later tomorrow too. We're happy to be with you. Till then, it's Richie B's time. Take care.